Steve Jewin, MMA Mania.
Okay, Steve, go ahead.
Ilima-Lei Macfarlane, I'm happy to say the champ is here. It's good to talk to you again. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, Steve. How are you?
I'm excellent. So how has life changed for you since you won the inaugural title at Bellator 186?
Definitely a lot more public appearances and photo shoots and stuff like that. Sponsors and everything. So I've been kept very busy in that aspect. And yeah, I think, my inner circle has grown a little smaller, which is nice. Obviously there's going to be people coming out of the woodwork like, hey, remember me? But I know who my close circle is, so.
You're sticking to those friends at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu and not letting anybody else worm their way in.
Yes, no outsiders. Just the ones that have been with me from the beginning.
That's very good. That's a good plan for being a champ and staying a champ. But does it make you train a little harder, too, the motivation to stay a champ?
I'm going to be totally honest with you. It was hard finding motivation after my last fight. And I think it was a combination of the post-fight blues, and the fact I wasn't sure. I was like, okay, I accomplished my goal. Now what? And so it was a pretty confusing, or like I'd rather say stagnant 2 months after the fight, where I kind of was just like a zombie. Like, okay, like I don't know, what do I do now? But the minute I got the call that where I had something tangible, like I actually had a fight booked, then that's when I kicked my ass into gear again. I was like, all right, here we go. So yeah, I think it is hard to find the motivation if there's, you don't have an opponent, you don't have a name or anything to really work towards.
And like you said, you had achieved your goal. You had gone undefeated. You had become the first champion in Bellator. You had set all these goals, and it was like, what's left? Well, now the new goal is defending against Alejandra Lara.
Yep, that is the goal. Like, what they say, that you're not really a champion until you defend it. So I guess I won't really consider myself a real champion unless I win on June 29th.
Oh, I think you still should either way, because Emily Ducote was a game opponent who you had fought once before, and she gave you a good fight for 5 rounds until you finished her. So you're a champ no matter what.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
So what did you make of the fact that Lara was announced as your opponent? This is only her second Bellator fight, although she did look really good against Lejnović-Nikova.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. There are a handful of girls in the division that I thought were worthy to getting a title shot. And on paper, me and her are like pretty evenly matched. She's 7-1, I'm 7-0. We both are from very high, good camps with high-level female training partners. So she's from Team Lobos in Guadalajara, Mexico, and they have female fighters in the UFC, Invicta, Combates America, a lot of big promotions. So she has a lot of good training partners. And yeah, I just thought that it made sense, and she did have a very good debut against one of the veterans of the sport and of Bellator. So, and she ended up finishing her, So I thought it made sense, and I'm excited. Like, I've never faced someone with her style before, and as we all know, styles make fights. So it'll be very interesting to see how my style matches up with hers.
That's the thrill of it, is we get to see that matchup of style versus style in the main event. But one thing you are familiar with is facing taller opponents, and once again, you've got somebody who's got a few inches of height on you.
Yes. So I believe, you're right. I've only had 2 opponents that were either my height or shorter, and the rest were all taller.
I've been arguing with people that actually makes it an advantage for you, because it's easier for you to get to the knees, get a takedown, and get somebody's back.
I never thought of it like that, but now that you say it, yes, I would agree. Yeah, the taller they are, the harder to fall.
Exactly. Yeah. So at the same time, though, we don't want to assume that she hasn't studied up on her takedown defense because, like you said, she works with killers that are in UFC, Combate Americas, Invicta, and everywhere. So I'm sure they're schooling her on avoiding getting caught in your rear naked choke.
Exactly, yes. And she's also very flexible and athletic because she is an aerial acrobat dancer or athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be tough to, do any type of joint manipulation on her. So yeah, like I might have to finish it with a choke. You can't really squirm out over a choke. You can have an armbar, but I think it might have to go with a choke.
Not unless it turns into a super bloody fight, in which case then you could slip out of a choke. But otherwise, it's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But are you expecting that kind of fight? Do you think that it'll be a big stand-up war between the two of you, or do you think, nope, it's going to the ground and I'm going to do what I do best?
Well, it's interesting because I believe she's a karate, like her stand-up style has a karate background. But in her fight against Lena, she looked the most comfortable on the ground. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to read with these opponents, and I've only seen that fight of hers. Oh, I saw another fight of hers. But yeah, so I've only seen her fight twice, and each were very different fights. She looks well-rounded. So I don't know. I mean, I'm comfortable having to go wherever. I've really worked on my striking. I now consider myself I wouldn't be surprised if people look at me as a striker, especially after the last fight. The majority of the fight was on the feet. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm comfortable going wherever it goes. So maybe it'll come down to where she wants the fight to go. I don't know.
Well, we'll have to find out when it comes to Bellator 201. But one thing you mentioned about her is her acrobatic background and her karate style. But we also saw on her way to the cage for that fight with Lena, she's a little bit of a dancer as well. Now, who do you think has the better moves, you or her?
Oh man, I don't know, because our moves are culturally different. So I don't know. Maybe we should have a dance off, but mine would be like hula and Tahitian. Hers would be, was it the salsa? I don't know. I don't know where that originates from, but it was beautiful. Yeah, she would definitely beat me in anything involving flexibility and probably seduction. She would beat me.
Oh, well, I don't know. I won't even delve into that one. We'll just leave that one on the table. But as far as this card in general goes, it is really stacked up with the women's division. We're seeing all kinds of fighters. In fact, I'm interviewing all kinds of fighters. 3 different fights on this main card, all featuring women. So what does that mean to you to be the champion and to see it so well represented here in Temecula?
Yeah, I was so stoked. And in fact, I think there's 4 women's fights total on the prelim and the main, and then 2 are on the main card, including the main event. So I was ecstatic when I heard that because I'm all about girl power. It doesn't matter if these girls could be my potential opponent in the future. I think it's great, especially when we all support each other. And I actually know, interestingly enough, I know pretty much all the girls that are fighting on the card. We all have a connection somehow, or we've met each other, we've had conversations. So I really love this whole girl power, strong woman vibe that we get on this next card. And yeah, I'm totally thrilled that Bellator is not only highlighting their female talent, but they trust us and they think that or they recognize that we're badass enough to. Yeah, let's have them be the main event. Let's have these girls take up half of the main card, So I think that's incredible.
Well, and you talked about future contenders coming out of these fights. I'd say one is definitely Valerie Letourneau because she's already been a contender before in UFC, and now she's getting to fight at her natural weight instead of having to cut weight.
Yes, for sure, Valerie Letourneau. Yeah, she's a proven veteran from the UFC, and her opponent, Christina Warhorse Williams, is this crazy hype train derailer, I like to call her.
Mm-hmm.
And so a part of me has a feeling that whoever the winner is of that fight is going to get the winner of my fight.
Yeah, derailer is a great word. I couldn't think of a better one because what she did to Heather Hardy, I was like, wow, that totally derailed Hardy's momentum in Bellator. It took everybody by surprise, and then she came out and did it again in her very next fight.
Yeah, she's great. I'm a huge fan of her.
Mm-hmm.
And she won't say, this is only her third fight and she's fighting a UFC veteran. So I think that's great. I'm a big fan of Christina.
Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, we've also got fights on the preliminary card, like Christy Lopez versus Paula Ramirez and Carrie Ann Melendez versus Tina Valley. I thought that was on the main card, actually, but I'm looking at an updated card here, and it says that Carrie's fight is a prelim fight now.
Yeah, it is a prelim fight, but it definitely could be a main card. Carrie Melendez is a great fighter, has a big following, comes from a great gym, big names behind her. So I thought that could definitely have been on the main card as well. But yeah, I think it's on the prelims. And interestingly enough, her opponent is from Hawaii, and her and I have been, friends on social media. Hawaii has a really strong support system, so the MMA community, we all support each other. So she messaged me when she found out she was fighting on the card, and I'm so happy for her that she's getting this opportunity. And then me and Carrie are cool, we're totally cool with each other too. So I'm just like, oh my goodness. And then the Christy Lopez and Paula Ramirez, I've trained with both of them before. So it's just all these women that I know all of them, and now I'm like, oh no, they have to fight each other, but that's the name of the game, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that could also be the name of the game after you get done with Alejandra Lara. Once you have that title defense in your back pocket, you could be like, hey, now we can be friends. We can go out and have a drink together.
Oh, for sure. I try to do that with all my opponents. I'm always down to get a beer afterwards.
Now, you said there's a really strong support system in Hawaii, and this is something I've never had a chance to ask you about before. Have you ever had a chance to, sit with BJ Penn or do BJJ with him or talk about Hawaiian fighters in general?
No, I haven't. I have not met him. I don't even know if he knows who I am, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if he's never heard of me before. But, yeah, I mean, I'm friends with Max and Yancy them, but yeah, BJ was a little bit before my time, and he also is on a different island, from where I live. So yeah, I haven't been fortunate enough to run into him yet, but if the day ever comes, I will be completely thrilled and stoked.
Yeah, I hope it does happen. And speaking of Hawaii, as long as we're on this subject, have any of your friends there been affected by the continuing eruptions in the lava flow?
Some friends, yeah. Well, so most of my friends and families were unaffected. I do have some cousins up there in the area, but they didn't have to evacuate. But if anything, some of the fog has been affecting the nearby areas. So not necessarily the lava, but the fog and the air quality has affected some people I know. But other than that, everyone else is unaffected.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear everyone is okay, and more importantly, I'm glad that everything is okay going into this fight. You don't have any injuries or anything, right?
No, totally healthy, 100%.
All right, then we can look forward to seeing the best ever performance of Ilima-Lei Macfarlane, and we've already seen some amazing ones, so I expect something truly special coming up here in Temecula.
Thank you. Well, you guys will just have to watch June 29th.
Absolutely. Bellator on Paramount Network. You won't want to miss it. But before I let you go, Ilima, as always, plug anything you want, sponsors, social media, please take the floor.
Sure, thank you. If you guys want to follow me on social media, my Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook handles are Eliminator, ILIMANATOR. My team, 10th Planet San Diego Combat Academy Team Hurricane Awesome. You guys are my number one. And yeah, sponsors, thank you for letting me get through this camp healthy, fed. Shout out to my sponsors, Ambassadors with Aloha, Eco Sciences, Real Living Holistic Health, Shea Family Chiropractor, and my Healthy Normal Meal Prep. Oh, and my PC1 Gels. Love you all. Thank you.